Oh my gosh, I don't know how to write melodies or songs. Yes, you do. As long as you know your chords and your scales, you can do this. That's all you need to know to start writing. So here in this example, we're just going to pick a key. We're going to pick B minor. I like minor keys. We're going to go with the minor key, B minor, and then we're going to set it up in a kind of interesting rhythm. You want to not necessarily just go 4/4, just play the chord on the beat every beat, except for certain tracks. But we're going to try and do something a little syncopated here. And we've got our first chord down. Now we're going to do the second chord in the chord progression. Now here's a trick. Keep some of the notes the same. In fact, here we're going to keep two of the notes the same. So instead of B, D, F sharp, which is the B minor chord, we're going to do A, D, F sharp. We're keeping the D and the F sharp, and then we're changing B to A, and that gives us a D major chord, which is in the B minor scale. So it's going to fit nicely in our song. And we're going to do the same syncopated rhythm. And then we're going to follow the same trick once again, where we keep at least one of the notes from the previous chord. Of course, you don't have to do this. This is just a nice trick to very quickly write a song. So we're going to keep the A note in this new chord, and we're going to change the D and the F sharp to C sharp and E. And that's going to give us A major chord. And once again, this is nice because the A major chord is part of the B minor scale. So everything so far fits into the B minor scale nicely. We're going to, once again, copy the same rhythm we have so far. And of course, you don't have to have the chords playing the same exact rhythm every single bar. But we're going to do that here to show you how good of a song you can make through this very little knowledge. And now we're going to actually switch it up and do something a little tricky for this chord. I know, I'm sorry, but just to show you that you don't have to follow all the rules all the time, what we're going to do is we're going to do an E major chord. Now, E major is not in the key of B minor. It is in the key of B Dorian, but you don't need to know that. All you really need to understand is that we're basically in B minor. We changed one note because it sounds good. Now let's listen to it all together. Fantastic. Now let's come up with a melody. Well, first we're going to repeat this just because I don't know what's going to happen here. So we'll copy it over, duplicate it, and then we'll open up another track so that we can get a melody. And I'm gonna try and find a different sound, because a lot of the time when you're actually making music, you don't have the same instrument playing the melody and the harmony. I mean, sometimes you do, but I think for probably most people watching this, they're probably going to make two separate tracks for the chords and the melody. And so I'm going to just pick some kind of a synth that I will probably not like and probably change later because I'm not the best at picking sounds. So now we're going to start writing our melody. And what I like to tell beginners writing melodies, and most people like to tell them, is to start with notes that are in the chord underlying it. So if you wrote the chords first, which is what we did here, start writing it using notes in the chord. So B minor has B, D, and F sharp. So we're actually gonna start with D and F sharp and then B, just to make it interesting. You don't want everything to sound the same between the melody and the harmony exactly. So I just switched up the order of the notes a little bit. And then to add some flavor, I'm going outside of the chord just slightly by adding that C sharp. You're gonna wanna add notes outside of the chord. It's just gonna be more interesting that way, almost always. There'll be some exceptions to that, of course. You can simplify this, but if you want something flavorful, just start going outside of the chord. So that's what I'm doing here. I am bouncing between, okay, what's the chord underneath? So I just went through not just B, but I also went through the D chord, and I tried to, make sure that half or most of the notes match the D chord, but we're also going outside of it. Now we're in the A chord. You can see there's C sharp, you can see A. I'm gonna add G because, and again, when I'm adding these other notes that aren't in the chord, I'm making sure they're still in the B minor scale for the most part. But most of the time, you're gonna always make sure they're in the B minor scale. Now, there can be some exceptions to that, because remember earlier I said, oh, for the last chord, we're actually going to go a little outside of the B minor scale, and it's actually going to be the B Dorian scale that it matches to. Yes, But because almost all of the notes between those scales are the same, there's just a one note difference, the melody that we're writing here isn't going to cause any issues. It's still using notes that are shared by both B minor and B Dorian, because there's only one note that isn't. So you most of the time don't have to worry too much about going just a tiny bit out of the diatonic. All right, fantastic. We've got our song hook, basically. It's not perfect, but it's pretty good for slapping it together. I literally pulled this out of thin air, folks. I made this up on the fly while I was making this video. That came out of nowhere. You saw me create that, and you come up with that in real time. I did not have any instruments. That was all off the dome. Just using the knowledge that I just explained to you, and that's it. That's all you need to know to write something like this. I do not like the sounds that I picked, so I'm going to spend a bit here trying to find sounds that I think are decent. And then I'm going to add some drums and just do a tiny bit of leveling. I'm not going to mix anything. I'm just going to add some drums, pick some sounds that are slightly better so that you can see what we wrote.